Sunny Patel, a craftsman, is a prime earner responsible for keeping his family through his family-run business. One day, he heard some noise coming from outside in the market square, where he saw a bike surrounded by some members of his community. In the crowd, he saw his friend Krishna and asked about what was happening. Krishna explained how a doctor had come to conduct blood tests in the community. Sunny was in awe, but he needed to get back to work. Just as he turned around, the doctor called him to get his blood tested. Then and there, the doctor took the blood sample and tested it using a mobile lab mounted on the bike. Within minutes after testing his blood, the doctor found high blood sugar levels. He immediately informed Sunny about the ill effect it could have on his health. Sunny was traumatized and he knew the impact this could have on his family. Luckily for Sunny, it was in the early stages. If it hadn't been for the outreach of the mobile lab, he wouldn't have found the need to get his blood tested. His report was sent out to local consultants within the primary care and also to Sunny and his family.
Sunny was a lucky one here, but not many people in the developing world are lucky enough. There are fundamental problems in the developing countries that the diagnostic facilities which does the blood, those who test the bloods are not movable. You can't move from one place to another. They have poor infrastructure, which means that there are no roads, plus there's no electricity, which means that you can't operate them. We looked at all these problems and we found that there's a need versus opportunity, and we looked at what those are. The need is that people need accessibility, people need affordability, and people need to be aware so that all those 4A's and P are absolutely vital. But then there's an opportunity for all the medics to actually go out of their clinics and reach out to all the community members or all the community to actually serve them and actually do the blood diagnostic where there are chances of people getting diabetic, people having chances of heart attack, etc. And having this mobile lab on a suitcase and mounted on a bike addresses that problem. What we have done is that we looked at what are the conventional models available or the existing competitor available in the market. We found that most of those labs are not movable at all. Plus the operational cost of conducting those tests is extremely high. And what we needed was a kind of a device which can addresses this problem, where we can have the bike, we can have the suitcase mounted on a bike, where you can take the bike along to the various villages, get the blood conducted. And these are one of the examples which you can see that we have a conventional lab versus the next generation lab. Now, conventional lab is very heavy. You have to be in the clinic, and there are multiple devices which are actually connected in order to conduct the blood test. We have broken that model and we have compacted them into a suitcase, which means that it can be mounted on a bike, it can be carried from one place to another.
Sorry, just to wrap up, because you're over your 3 minutes now. Wrap up.
Okay, so the last success which we did was we conducted a CSR activity with HCL Foundation in India, which has resulted into 1,000 pregnant women which were tested, and we found them that some of the women were having the high blood sugar level, which we actually informed them, and now now they are going through the recovery process.
Is the business model then to sell the labs? Is that basically the way your model would work?
Yeah, so there are two business models which we are working on. So the first model is to actually sell those labs, sell those labs to the various NGOs, organizations, those who work in humanitarian crisis, because they need those kind of equipments. But we are also working on a service model. So what we saw here is a service model, which we are working with the HCL Foundation. And what we are doing is that we are providing these labs and actually conducting blood tests for all the community members ourselves. And HCL Foundation pays us for that.
And what, from a technology perspective, I mean, putting a lab into a mobile suitcase effectively sounds interesting, but there's obviously lots of concerns around breakage, around durability of this equipment.
Absolutely. So the conventional labs use, there is a semi-auto analyzer in these blood diagnostic labs. They are made of, they have some sort of technology which is breakable, which can break, you can't move them. They have some halogen lamps which needs to be operated where they analyze the blood. We have broken that technology, and we have optical based solution which shrinks the existing technology, which is very bulky and can't be moved, into a very small, a compact piece of semi-auto analyzer. Now, as a result, you can move it. You can break it from 5 feet, and you use the lab again. Readings will be accurate. There will be no damage.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. Just on this study with the 1,000 pregnant women, was the problem because they'd never seen an actual healthcare professional before, or is it because those professionals didn't have?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the developing countries, the problems are massive. The problem is that there is no the state of the primary care is very bad. That's number one. Second thing is that people do not have time. If you say people to actually go and do the blood test, why? Because I don't see any problem physically, so why should I go? And the problem with that is that because a lot of these non-communicable diseases which we talked about, diabetic and having heart stroke, people only go when they think that they're on the verge of getting it. And what we are doing is that we are going to the doorstep. We are taking this technology right within the community and doing the mass screening of various people living there. And it's making a massive difference. People are realizing, hang on a second, I wasn't sure that I'm going to be diabetic, but I could see that my reading levels are extremely high, so I should be conscious about it. Sunny Patel was one example. But just imagine that if Sunny Patel would have diagnosed being diabetic type 2, for example, then his family would have suffered because the cost of curative care would have gone up.
Sure.
And the whole family suffers. And that's what we're trying to make the difference. We are trying to make a difference to have a business model which is self-sustainable. And we think that there are two key things: selling these labs and reaching out to, not just to India, but to the African nation. They have similar sort of problems, 68% of the deaths globally because of the NCDs.